She struck me so hard the ring left a mark on my cheek. I didn't flinch, didn't even raise my voice. My parents saw the bruise later that evening. They didn't ask. My father looked at the floor, cleared his throat, and said quietly, "You're the husband without a degree. Don't react." Then they walked out, just like that. She stayed seated, sipping her coffee like nothing had happened. Her tone was cool, almost amused. "Charming family," she said, eyes glinting with superiority. But I wasn't frozen from fear. My stillness wasn't surrender. It was the beginning of a plan. Because 30 minutes later, when the door opened again, I stood tall, and she was the one on her knees. I met Clara at one of the lowest points of my life. I had left college, was juggling 2 jobs, barely staying afloat. She came from wealth, the kind of family that wears legacy like armor. Everything she owned was designer. Every word calculated, every silence sharp. At first, I thought she was refreshing, bold, intelligent, intense. She called me authentic, said I grounded her. I thought that meant love. It was actually a warning. When we got married, her father refused to come. Mine did, but only after Clara transferred him a generous gift. I tried to ignore that, told myself love was enough. For a while, I believed it. We moved into her penthouse. She told her friends I was between ventures, and I played along. I cooked, I cleaned, I smiled through her upscale dinner parties full of men who measured others by their portfolio and women who smiled through subtle insults. Every time someone asked what I did, she'd interrupt with a charming jab about my free spirit. They laughed. I smiled. She basked, but slowly, her edge grew sharper. She began correcting me in front of others, mocking me, making jokes that cut deeper every time. If a dish wasn't plated like it belonged in a restaurant, she'd toss it. One night I brought the wrong wine, and she hurled the bottle against the wall. "Learn to matter," she muttered as she walked past me. That night, staring at the broken glass, I realized I didn't love her. I feared her, and I was alone in that fear. No one, especially not my family, would defend me. The slap happened 3 months later. My parents had come for dinner. I made Clara's favorite. Lamb, perfectly seasoned, wine poured just right. Still, she found fault. When I reached for the serving spoon, before she did, she hit me. An open-handed strike across my face. No hesitation. The diamond in her ring left a cut. My parents froze. My mother turned away. My father said his piece about my failures. And then, like always, they left. Clara didn't say a word, just leaned back and sipped her wine, her expression one of smug triumph. But that was the moment I decided. This ends, not with anger, not with violence, but with precision. I began by withdrawing emotionally. I didn't argue. I smiled when she mocked me, nodded when she cut me down. I let her believe she had won. I let her forget I was still thinking. Then I began collecting evidence. Screenshots of her texts, footage from the cameras I installed in the apartment under the pretense of security upgrades. All legal, all mine. Her cruelty was recorded in crisp high definition. Every insult, every threat, every quiet, vicious moment she thought was private. Next, I met with a lawyer, someone far outside her circles. I told him everything. We crafted a plan, not for revenge, but for resolution. I didn't want her money. I wanted my life back. I legally transferred half of our joint assets, my half, into a private account. Everything was above board, nothing hidden. I waited for the right night, a dinner party, our apartment, the same table. But this time, the guest list had changed. Her PR agent, a board member from her foundation, 2 major investors, and my parents. Clara was in her element, charming, vibrant, effortless, too confident to notice the storm gathering in the room. I served dinner, poured the wine, let her run the show. Then I stepped away for a moment and pressed play. The flat screen lit up. Her voice filled the room. Clips, recordings, her face, her words, her venom. "You're a leech. You should say thank you every time I let you exist here. You'd be homeless without me. You're nothing. Silence followed, the kind that swallows the air. Her publicist turned gray. The board member quietly grabbed his jacket. My father, usually stone-faced, watched the screen without blinking, fists clenched on the table. Clara turned to me, horrified. "Turn it off," she whispered. I didn't. I walked around the table slowly, held up a flash drive. "This goes to my lawyer tonight," I said, along with a full affidavit. "I'm filing for emotional and psychological abuse. And since I co-own this apartment, I'm staying." "You're leaving?" Her knees buckled. She reached out, panicked, and dropped to the floor. Not from force. From fear. From exposure. She begged, pleaded, "We can fix this. Just stop." I walked past her, calm, silent. My lawyer filed the next morning. She tried to settle quietly. I said no. Let it be public. She lost her investors. Resigned from her board. I kept the apartment. Sold her jewelry to clear my debts. Framed the public apology her team drafted and hung it near the wine rack. My parents never brought that night up again. But my father hugged me for the first time in years. Clara never laid a hand on anyone after that. Not when she saw what it cost her. I'll never forget her smirk that night. That cup of coffee. The way she sneered at my family and called them polite. She thought decency was weakness. But she never understood. Silence isn't surrender. It's the sound right before everything changes. And when that door opened again, she wasn't the one in control. I was.